How you doing? I did a financial update video late yesterday in reference to Alan Greenspan and this idea that negative interest rates are inevitable in the U.S. And again, that was a quote from Alan Greenspan. If you don't know who he is, check him out. He was likely the most powerful person on the planet for the better part of a decade, being the Federal Reserve chief when he was. And you know, he's been more right than wrong if you look at his track record. So when he speaks, I think you need to listen. I got a couple of comments from folks basically saying, hey, tell me more about negative interest rates. Don't know what it is. So what I thought I would do is kind of break it down how I see it, uh, both from kind of someone who has savings, and then also from a real estate investor. So in essence, negative interest rates mean that as a depositor in the bank, you are essentially paying the bank to store your cash. Now, in reality, it's at least my hope that negative interest rates don't hit the consumers, meaning I have to pay a quarter point for, I don't know, bank X to hold my cash in my savings account. I expect negative interest rates likely to be felt first where banks are lending to each other on their daily rates. I expect that to happen first if it does, right? Interbank lending and the like. But it is certainly possible if this goes on long enough that you and I essentially have to pay financial institutions, maybe it's a tenth of a point or a fifth of a point to store our cash. So it's absolutely possible. What I think is far more likely for the individual is that we could get next to nothing for our savings. I think this is going to particularly hurt baby boomers, people that are looking to exit. I think, if you go back and look at the baby boomers, which is my parents' generation, they've been they've had lots of ups, right? They bought into a growing real estate cycle. They've had technology enhancements. They've had a good shot at increasing standards of living. I unfortunately think that this may be a particularly nasty time to kind of be exiting the workforce and have all you spent a life putting away these assets in this cash and 401k and all that stuff. And I think we may have a rush to the exits, and it could be particularly impactful for them in a negative way. So that's unfortunate. Um, I think that the individual consumer, like myself, is going to earn next to nothing and perhaps zero in our savings accounts if it goes negative, as Alan Greenspan indicated. So I think as an average consumer, basically anytime that rates go down, savers lose and debtors win. That's the basic story here. So what do I mean by debtors win? Well, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see lots of things around the real estate world, which is where I live. You're going to have, first off, you're going to have extremely low rates. I thought 4 and 5% were low rates. There's a chance that rates get in the twos, and maybe for owner occupants they get in the ones. Right? Think about that. So we could spark a whole bunch of refi and all of that, but why take the cash out, right? If you're not earning anything for it, unless you're going to invest it. So first and foremost, I expect interest rates on debt, specifically debt held or tied to hard assets like real estate. I expect them to get cheaper, and on a percentage basis, a lot cheaper, right? I think rates could be cut in half if the overall system goes to negative interest rates, like Alan Greenspan indicated. The other thing for real estate investors, I think, is going to happen is banks are going to have a hard time meeting their revenue and profit expectations, because I think what will happen when the world goes to negative interest rates is the average consumer is going to get so scared. They're going to get scared. They're going to kind of do the opposite, right? They're not going to take out debt when debt's extremely cheap. They're not going to buy. They're going to save in an environment where saving's not rewarded. So it's kind of counterproductive. But I saw this happen before. So I think what will happen is banks will get more aggressive. They will look for ways to lend on real estate. Frankly, they're going to look to lend on other stuff, right? Buying businesses and the like. Something else that will happen, interest rates never went negative in the crash, right? '08 to 10 or 11, but they got really low. And that's where we started doing a lot of private money, right? We don't do it today, but we were paying 10% interest to people that were earning less than a percent. So I expect people to start chasing yield, and private money will be a lot more attractive to real estate investors and developers and the like, because people will want to earn income. So if Alan Greenspan is right and the overall system in the U.S. eventually goes negative on interest rates, I think you want to be a debtor, right? Because savers lose, debtors win. So I think you need to learn your market, understand what's on sale, understand the psychology of owner occupants and renters and all of that. So hopefully that helps. I did get a couple of comments to tell me more about negative interest rates. So I think that's what's going to happen. Again, the overall system will go negative. Probably banks, interbank charges will go negative first. I don't think it hits the consumer. At least that's a fear of mine. Maybe it's more of a hope it doesn't hit the consumer, meaning I have to pay bank X to hold my money. But again, I think real estate's going to be where you want to be, especially cash flow real estate, index for inflation, and renters more and more because they're not buying. And I just think 2020 is going to be a great time to be a buy and hold real estate investor. I retired after 15 years, as we talk about in the book all the time, but I think next year can be extra special. So it's going to be interesting. So that's what I think. Hopefully that helps. For the couple of you that watch this, if you need more information, just send me another comment below and I'll try again. All right, everybody, have a great day. Thanks.